just got this 04 360 F1 in. It's got a little bit of other issues than just an F1 conversion that we're going to be working on. We have on the list of rejuvenation items, we're doing timing belts, going through the fuel system, kind of major service on the car, along with a lot of interior convertible top needs to be repaired. So there's a long laundry list of things to make this car back to its pristine shape to go back on the road. So this is a 2001 360 F1, now converted with the very first Modena Lucerna kit. We learned quite a bit along the conversion process. Took a little longer than anticipated time-wise, but overall we're still right about 50 to 60 hours in the total man hours to complete the job. While we were in there, we did timing belts, inspected the water pump. We also had to repair the lock cylinder on the convertible top. So all in all, everything took, like I said, time-wise, a little bit longer than anticipated.
This is the Modena Lucerna 360 kit. This is everything except for the hydraulic lines. They won't fit on the table. But other than that, this is pretty much the entire kit. We're going to go over it piece by piece, show you. This is every single thing you see here we make. So this is our die-cast magnesium box. It's identical copy to the original Ferrari one. The only thing we did is we did a hybrid off of the later Ferrari one where the insert that holds the fulcrum is screwed in. Ours, we have both sides screwed in. Ferrari pressed in both sides on the 99. They screwed in one side on the 2001, and then they left it pressed in and screw it. We screw in both sides so we can more accurately locate the neutral position on every box. So that is it. You can notice this is the Modena Lucerna switch. These aren't even available from Ferrari anymore. We make them ourselves. All the components inside, the shift mechanism, shift tower, shift rod, everything is ours. Next thing is this is our cable holder for our shift cables. It's made out of aerospace aluminum, anodized black, and all of the parts, as you can see, have got the necessary bolts, nuts, or studs all attached so that there's no question. Everything that's necessary for this build is with the parts. The next thing is the shift pedal, the clutch pedal, and the clutch pedal is made of titanium, and it is exact copy of the factory pedal. The only difference is it's shorter up here, and what we've done is we've done the bearings that actually stick out and take up the room of the two. There's two really fine inserts that go in here. They're spacers. Those spacers help keep the aluminum pedal in the Ferrari from rubbing on the other aluminum pedal, but the problem is trying to climb underneath there and install it. Our installers at Italian Race Design said, hey, what a great idea. Why don't we put the spacers into the pedal? And that's exactly what we did. Now this slides in and installs in about 30-minute less time because you don't have to fool with those spacers in the small compartment of the car. Coming around here, this is our master cylinder. We made them from scratch, and it's made by a company that supplies parts to a number of different automotive companies, and they did a great job. One of the things we did not like about the Ferrari is they paint this surface right here, which is where the contact goes in, where the connector for the hydraulic line, and you can actually get a bad seal. So ours is actually ground post-paint to make sure everything is clean. And all the surfaces that lock up and connect are all completely free of paint, so they fit perfectly. And again, this comes with all of the nuts and bolts, even the supply line, all the hardware here, all the spacers, all the bearings are pressed in, the stop bushing is installed, so everything included. The other thing is you've got the clutch switch, again, aerospace aluminum with the switch installed in and the bolt and locking for the switch. This is a bypass for the ECU starter relay. If you don't have this, the car will not start. So once you remove the F1, you've got to install this or the car doesn't really know that it's supposed to start. So this is included with every kit. Once you take out the F1, you have to have that. One of the other items we made is this little thing, which is sort of only like anything that Ferrari made, and it's not. Ferrari basically made an L-shaped piece of metal that bolts to the bottom of the car, and then they wire tied the cables to the bottom of a piece of metal. What we did is we made a trough. So the two shift cables and the hydraulic line all go in this nice little stainless steel thing, and it completely keeps them, and then it bolts to the bottom of the car in the same place where the Ferrari one bolted. This keeps all the cables nice, organized, and straight. The next thing here is our shift mechanism, and again, it's fully installed, fully assembled. All the bolts are installed in it. The arms are aerospace aluminum. The connectors are aerospace stainless steel. The housing is a die-cast aluminum. All the parts are on there. The bearings are pressed in. They're staked in, completely assembled, ready to go. All you need to do is to screw it on. The cables themselves are made by a custom high-volume cable maker. They copy the Ferrari cables, not exactly, because they said that the Ferrari cables were such low quality that they didn't want to copy them. So they went and we did upgrades on the cable, upgrades on the liners, upgrades on the insulation, upgrades on the hardware, and so these are much smoother, a lot more stainless steel, and a lot better insulation than the factory cables. So these are the top quality cables that we make, and you can't get them anywhere than from us. We also have the rubber piece. It's not here, but we have the rubber piece that goes in there that goes through the car that separates the cables when it goes out the driver compartment into the engine compartment. That's also, that rubber piece is also included. One of the things we've been asked about is, okay, you've got the clutch pedal, so what are you going to do with the brake pedal? People that make kits right now, what they suggest you do is just cut the brake pedal down. That's really not your best option. It's a good starter option, but the ideal situation is you've got an aluminum brake pedal, we've got a titanium clutch pedal. Why not make a titanium brake pedal? So we are in the process of fabricating a titanium brake pedal that will be sold separately from the kit. You can stick with your aluminum one if you want, but our titanium clutch pedal is designed to give the pedal placement optimal position. The current Ferrari pedal placement is really not optimal. This will optimize pedal placement and make the driving pleasure a lot more. So again, that pedal will also include the no spacer required bushings. It'll be made out of solid titanium, and it will be the quality of the Modena Lucerna clutch pedal. One of the things Michael hit about was the shift mechanism, and we're pretty proud of it. We've got a really nice return back to zero and on the shift box and how it shifts. It's really nice. One of the ways we were able to do that is because we make everything. We don't buy any off-the-shelf springs. We actually custom make the spring that goes into this. We're also working with Michael to design a custom-made race spring, and maybe a combination of two springs to get the race spring assembly to really make it snap back super fast. So we make our own springs, we make our own hardware, we make our own parts, we control the tooling on everything. And then the other thing that separates us from most everybody else is we don't buy low volume. I don't buy 5 of these. Everything that you're seeing here is in production between 250 and 500 right now. We have the master cylinders, I have 500 in stock right now. The shift cables, I have 500 coming in literally next week on a boat. The cast housings for the shift mechanism at 250 inbound. All these parts are all made high volume. What that means is when you set up for doing a high volume manufacturing is you have less reset up and reset up and reset up. If you're doing these 5 at a time or 10 at a time, every time you set up, you're building variation into a part. So we control and spec every single part is drawn, reverse engineered, highly toleranced, way beyond the Ferrari spec for tolerance, and then manufactured to that spec. And we do it in volume so that we know we're getting extremely consistent parts. This master cylinder and the 500th master cylinder are identical. These parts were all sourced from automotive suppliers around the world. I have worked for TRW and for Mercedes-Benz in Germany, and I know the supply base, I know where to get parts from, and so I just went right to the sources. They won't talk to you if you need 4 of those or 5 of those. They only talk if you want 500 or 250. That's how I buy. So I go straight to the source. I don't have to deal with mom and pop machine shops. I deal with high volume automotive parts manufacturers that make high quality parts, and that's who I buy from. Yeah. Let's go hit the cables one time. On the shift cables, one of the things that we did was when we worked with our cable manufacturer, who makes cables for numerous cars already, they were really unhappy with the. I want to hit on this insulation. The Ferrari insulation is very, very fragile and very, very easily damaged. This is an extremely high quality insulation going around the cables in the area of the engine compartment. And that's one of the things that we really liked. It's just every single thing from the smoothness of the cables on how they operate, it's almost frictionless, which the Ferraris, you can feel them, they drag. And ours are absolutely just smooth as glass. So we use higher quality parts. We use the most frictionless system possible. And you can see it. Once it's installed in the car, you notice it right here when you're shifting through it. That's what the cables, that's what the shift box, that's what the fulcrum, that's what all the parts made to the highest tolerance are going to give you. It's going to give you the smoothest, easiest shifting car by far. The other thing that a lot of people are wondering, like, if I get another person's kit, where do I get parts if something breaks? I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know what Modena Lucerna does. If you need one of those, and you have a factory Ferrari Gated 6, you can buy my part, it'll go right on. You need one of those, it'll go right on. You need a new box, it'll go right on. All of our parts not only look like the Ferrari parts, but they're interchangeable with the Ferrari parts. So even though Ferrari's not supporting it anymore, let's say your clutch cable or your clutch pedal breaks, doesn't matter. We can sell you a clutch pedal, it will go right in your car. It doesn't matter if it's a Gated 6 or an F1. Our parts are 100% interchangeable with the Ferrari parts. So any of these parts can be put on a factory Gated 6 car, or as an assembly, they can be put into an F1 car.
One of the big problems that we had with the 360 was pedal spacing, which was just something we weren't happy with. To need a very thin set of shoes or very small feet in order to drive the car without brushing the gas pedal and the brake pedal at the same time. So we moved the pedal pad around a little bit on the brake pedal in order to, I have size 13 shoes, so now in regular tennis shoes I can drive the car heel toe, do whatever I need to do, and it's very comfortable, and I can fit without brushing any of the other pedals. And even cosmetically, it looks a little more evenly spaced instead of your clutch pedal far off in left field. So our first production kit shifts through all 6 gears very smoothly. You get real nice smooth downshifts. Upshifts really quickly. Our second generation, we're going to offer 2 sets of springs for the side-to-side motion to speed and stiffen up that motion quite a bit. For our race package, it just kind of will help driving-wise be that much smoother and quicker for upshifts and downshifts, but for road use, this is plenty. Get everything you need. Really smooth.
Some people are asking what separates your quality from some of the other people out there. I don't know. I haven't seen their kits, but what I do know is how we do ours. This part is a die-cast magnesium, and what we do with it is we basically qualify the bottom. So this bottom plane is machined first, and these 4 holes are machined in it. Actually, and you'll notice if you're really sharp, the Ferrari does not have these 2 holes here, and it does not have that hole there. Those are what our cars are setup holes. Those are cast into the part. The part's flipped upside down like this, the box without the assembly in it. And then basically we deck off the bottom so we create our plane. That's our datum plane. And then we take and drill the 4 holes. Now we have our datum. So these 4 holes are the datum for all the other holes. Then the box is reversed back over. It's bolted onto the machining plate. And now all of the holes, here, 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 angles, threads, everything is relative to these 4 original datum holes. Everything is controlled. Other people take a billeted part here, bolt it to a billeted part here, and connect it with screws here and connect it with screws. It's crazy. You cannot hold the tolerances that are necessary on this part. You have to take and machine so that this is your datum, this tabletop is your datum, and then all of the holes are relative to one position in space. Otherwise, nothing will fit together and work properly. It's going to be clunky, it's going to be junky, it's going to be, nothing's going to be smooth, it might not even assemble. This thing is a dream to assemble. Everything just literally drops in because everything is exactly where it needs to be because it's all machined in one operation. Once the 4 holes are in, all the other holes are machined in one operation, so there's no tolerance variation between this whole location, this whole location, this whole location, this whole, they're all done in one operation. So one of the things that we touched on, I'll touch on it one more time, is that you got to understand that when you're making, this is probably the most critical part of the whole system, and it's really important. If you're making this part in 3 pieces and you're bolting it together, you have what's called stack-up tolerances. Now, not all the people out there know what stack-up tolerance is. I'll explain it to you. If I'm making this piece and I'm drilling this hole, this hole, and this hole, and in one operation I balance it on here, and then I flip it over here, and I hold it in, and I machine around here, deck this off, machine this, and then I flip it like this, and I machine this, and I flip it like this, machine. Every time this thing moves and lands back down again and you grab it, you're adding in what's called stack-up tolerance. If that is off by 2 thou, and then 2 thou, 0.002, 0.002, and then 5 thou, every time this thing is turned and flipped in the machine to get the final part is a stack-up tolerance. So you may end up with 8 or 9 or 10 thou, which is a lot of stack-up tolerance just in making one part. I'm using this as an example. This obviously doesn't have that kind of stack-up tolerance, but when you get to this kind of part, you're talking massive. Because if you sit there and handle this as one piece up here, one piece down here, one piece here, and bolt it all together, just the stack-up tolerance locations between this piece, then bolting it to this piece. So now these 2 pieces have got to fit together. So you got to have some variation. They got to fit. They cannot be line to line. Then you go over here. This can't be line to line. So all of these things stack up. And then if you're machining if you're machining this part on this side, and then you flip it to this side, and then you flip it to this side, you're adding stack up. Every time you touch the part, you add stack up. The most effective way to manufacture parts is basically one setup, one machining operation, and done. You minimize stack up tolerance, you increase the accuracy, and you get the best quality part you possibly can. If you touch this part and you keep putting it in the machine 5 and 6 times, that's great. If you have a Haas CNC machine and you're going to throw these parts in there and you're going to flip them 25 times, at the end of the day, you're going to have a part. Does it work? Maybe, maybe not. Billeting parts out is not the secret. The secret is manufacturing the parts to a tolerance. This is the lowest tolerance way to manufacture this part, period, end of story. It doesn't matter. This is CNC secondary, but it's not CNC'd 100%. Because if you 100% CNC this out of 3 pieces, it's going to be a lower tolerance part than this part right here. And in addition to it, it's not going to be aerospace magnesium. It's going to be some aluminum. One of the things that people ask is, what makes you different from everybody else? Well, we've been over that. We make all of our own parts, but we go further than that. Just for example, these 2 arms that come with the shift box, these 2 arms are made out of aerospace aluminum. And the bearings, as you can see really carefully, they're staked in from both sides. This is an aerospace staking process, and it's done on all of these bearings. The problem is that you want a bearing, you get on McMaster-Carr, you look it up, you buy a bearing, right? Wrong. Most of these Ferrari bearings are sized like nothing else on the planet. They do not fit any norm configuration. In addition to that, you not only need the right size bearing, which no one else makes, Ferrari custom makes it for all their projects. We had to go out and completely 100% spec that bearing and then have them made, and I have 1,000 of those custom made identical. So the bearings are all perfect size, identical to the size of Ferrari, and they're staked in, and they're identical to the original ones. You cannot buy these bearings on McMaster-Carr. You can't buy them from any bearing manufacturer in the US or in Europe. So we had to have them custom made. Some of the other things that are a little bit different, as you can see, our clutch pedal, it has a stop thing in the back. A lot of conversion people are just using an Allen a hex head bolt, and every time you hit the clutch pedal, you hear a tink, tink, tink. Ours is the oval molded rubber, identical to what Ferrari does. Same exact thing. We've talked about the reverse light switch. Again, this is identical to Ferrari. Same rubber cap, same length of wire, same connector at the end, same stroke on the switch mechanism. Everything is identical to Ferrari. A lot of people can't get these anymore. They're selling for $500-600 a piece for the Ferrari ones, and there's only a few left, and they'll be gone. And Ferrari said they're not making them anymore. But people will start sticking in aftermarket stuff that's just sort of, or they'll make you cut your wiring loop in order to hook it up. We don't do that. You unplug the factory reverse light switch and you plug in an identical copy of the factory reverse light switch. So our parts are 100% interchangeable. The quality, again, is made by aerospace manufacturers for the billeting, and it's made by automotive manufacturers for all the other components that I've sourced. And I use nothing but high quality automotive manufacturers that are located all over the world that sell to people like Lexus, Mercedes, Porsche, Lamborghini. I go to the same people they do. I used to work for these guys.
Modena Lucerna is now seeking parts resellers and Gated 6 installers for our current Ferrari Gated 6 conversion kits. If you're interested in being a parts reseller or a Gated 6 installer with an exclusive territory, please contact us via Instagram at Modena Lucerna or at modenalucerna@gmail.com. Currently, we have the 360 and 430 kits available. By the end of the year, we should have 575 and 599 Ferrari kits as well. These will be, again, identical to Ferrari real parts and interchangeable with Ferrari parts. Thank you.